Welcome to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I am Tammi Mack. Miscegenation laws are nothing new to not only American society, but Hitler was famous for it in Nazi Germany, South Africa during apartheid. And there were also laws in the United States banning miscegenation, the mixing of two different races. When miscegenation laws were overturned in the United States in 1967, just 55 years ago, y'all, 3% of all newlyweds were married to someone of a different ethnicity. Now, according to the Pew Research Center, those numbers have climbed to 17% as of 2015. I can't imagine what they are today in 2022. Is that because some people are just naturally drawn to partners outside their race? Or in minding the Black business that is ours, do we hold higher standards for our own people than those of a different race when dating? Do Black men have higher standards for Black women than they do for non-Black women? Well, let's get down to business. The business of being Black today is the Black man standards for Black women. Please welcome the love guru, Byron Jamal. Hi, Byron.
What's going on, Tammi? How are we doing today?
Fine. I'm always flabbergasted when people call themselves love gurus. I wonder, how so? But that's another show. Comedian Speedy Cardwell is on deck. Hey, Speedy.
What's up? How's everybody doing? I'm great. Glad to be here. Love the guru shirt. The shirt fits the guru.
The CEO of Blink X, Nina Blanco, is here. Hi, Nina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Influencer and YouTuber Cynthia G's here with us. Hey, Cynthia.
Hi, I'm ready to go.
I know you are. And KT from Top Level Dating is on board as well. Hi, KT.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. So the first question traditionally asked on Business of Being Black is why? Why should Black people care? Why should Black people care about setting higher standards when dating within their race? Cynthia, you're ready to go? Let's get it.
I am ready to go. Well, first of all, let me say this. When it comes to interracial dating and Black men being with non-Black and specifically white women, as we know, that is the preference of Black men, there are no standards. Wow. There are no standards beyond bringing whiteness to the table. This has been documented by studies. The bottom line of it is it affects the community. It affects the wealth building in the community. It affects generational wealth. It affects the poverty levels. It affects even the self-esteem of Black women and little Black girls. And I'm actually really happy that we're talking about this because this is something that relatively gets ignored. The fact that Black men have no standards when it comes to non-Black women, specifically white ones, which mostly there are different ethnicities of white, but then they have a long laundry list of standards for Black women. And what that is an indication of is an internalized self-hatred and really, quite frankly, a white supremacist mentality.
Wow.
She's totally wrong.
Let's get this question in. Right. Let's get this first round question in first so everybody can answer. So, Speedy, why should Black people care about setting higher standards when dating within our race?
I don't think you need to have a higher standard. It's just who do you love? That should be the only standard you have. I like this person or I like that person. She could be big, she could be short, she could be skinny. I like big women. So am I wrong for just liking big women? It doesn't matter who you like. I'm married to a white woman, but I have Black kids. My daughter's Black, all my kids, and I teach them to be Black. And not to be Black, but they are. They understand who they are. They don't look at who I married and go, something wrong with my dad because he married a white woman. No, you guys are looking to totally, I get it. You could say some men, but when someone goes, all men, all Black men have a standard. No, we do not. We just have somebody. I just have somebody that love me, and I love them.
So, just for clarification, your children are by the white woman?
No.
They're by a Black woman.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make that clarification. Nina, why should Black people care about setting higher standards when dating within our race?
Well, to me, I'm just like what Speedy is saying. It's not a difference to me per se with in our community due to the fact that it's whatever make us happy. I don't know where this has come from to make it so serious to the point where it's a black and white thing. It's not. It's whoever makes you happy and brings you peace. If the characteristic of that individual, whether it's black or non-black, is not to your liking, I guess, then it's your prerogative if you choose another race or someone else. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's not that deep. That's all I'm saying.
So KT, let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Why should Black people care about setting higher standards when dating within our race? I have to say, I do hear a lot of Black women, a lot of Black men, when they talk about Black women, they say, well, we want somebody that cook. We want somebody that can be submissive. We want somebody that's less aggressive with not a lot of mouth. But they never say that when they talk about dating white women. So that seems to be a standard, KT. Why should we care about Black men who place higher standards?
Well, I certainly set standards for every woman I date.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like the problem starts with Black men. And I feel like, you know, from my experience, I typically notice like patterns in Black women, and I'm naturally just like, those standards it doesn't change, you know? So it's just like white women typically don't have the same, qualities.
Okay, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. Okay. Byron, the question on deck is, why should Black people care about setting higher standards when dating within the race?
I think that they should not care. I don't think there should be a quote unquote higher standard within your race. However, I understand why people have higher standards, why Black people have higher standards, and that is taught. It is about for the culture. I remember when I was coming out, my seminarian theologian professor told me, Byron, I don't care if you like men or if you like women, but I want you to marry a woman because you got to protect the culture. You got to raise strong Black children. And so I think there's an extra bit of pressure that's on a Black person who marries another Black person to make sure the culture is represented well. That same pressure is not on it when you go outside of the race. So there's that.
So let's move into this and get into this story. Speedy, you've already told us that you married a white woman. Do Black men get criticized for dating outside of their race more than other men, you think?
We will get criticized. But again, if she would have been Puerto Rican, if she'd have been Latino, if she'd have been from India, doesn't matter. How about who likes you? I don't like nobody to raise their voice to me. Black, white, green, or purple doesn't matter. I think when y'all go, oh, well, all Black men, quit saying all Black men. Just say the people you met. Let's do it that way. This conversation should start off with the people I met said this. Stop saying all Black men. All Black men don't feel that way. Yes, I don't want another woman. I don't care if she's purple or green. Don't raise your voice at me. Don't do none of that. Don't front me off in front of my friends. Doesn't matter what color you are. I think the problem is we keep throwing these broad strokes of all Black men. All Black men. Stop saying that. Just say, few men I met, this is how they feel. Then the conversation flows better. If I sit here and go, all Black women are this, or all white women are that, or all white women only do this, and all white women got good credit. No, they don't.
Right.
Which I know. No, they don't.
Listen, for the purpose of the remainder of the show, we will assume that when someone refers to any group of people, we are referencing the few of those group of people that we've met. Okay.
I thought the discussion applied towards Black men who date interracial.
But you know all Black men that date them.
I don't, but there's data on it.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't say no study.
And what I find is, please let me finish. What I find is that Black men who date interracially, they tend to shun data and focus on individual experiences that can't be confirmed or denied. The bottom line is the data is saying what's going on. It is trackable. And the data in the studies, particularly this one that I'm actually looking at right now from the American Sociological Association based on sociology and race, it's basically saying that Black men do have a lower standard, almost non-existent standard when it comes to dating white women versus Black women. There's also been, but here's the thing. I want to let everybody understand why Black men have no standards when it comes to non-Black women, because what Speedy mentioned was different ethnicities of white. Puerto Rican is not a race. You can have Black, white, mixed, Asian, whoever in that group. It's not a race. The bottom line is Black men look for different ethnicities of white. Whether he's with a white woman, she's white. Whether he's with a Hispanic, she's white. Whether he's with an Asian, her skin will be white. They're not gravitating towards anyone that looks like them. This is all data backed. There are data sources that explicitly stated that when Black men date white women, they are dating because she is white, and she is weaponizing her whiteness as social currency to get so-called high-value Black men. But I just want to say this really quickly, and I'm going to yield. The reason Black men have no standards is because this is what they've always been fighting for. Contrary to popular belief, it wasn't Loving versus Virginia that was the first case taken to the Supreme Court. It was Black men initiating it on at least 3 different instances. Now, those cases, Pace v. Alabama, McLaughlin v. Florida, and Perez v. Sharp, were Black men petitioning the Supreme Court. One of the cases, 16 years off the plantation, not going to the Supreme Court to liberate their people, but going to the Supreme Court so that they can marry white women. Now,
let's take a break on that note. We got to take a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll get everybody else in to respond to the higher standards that Black men place on Black women. Great.
You do.
Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Let's get down to the business of being Black today. It's the Black man standards for Black women. Please welcome the love guru Byron Jamal, comedian Speedy Caldwell, the CEO of BlinkX, Nina Blanco, influencer and YouTuber Cynthia G, and KT from Top Level Dating. KT, when you are dealing with top level dating, do you deal with interracial relationships?
Yes, for sure.
And how do those interracial relationships differ from relationships that are of the same ethnicity? Do men come in and ask for a white woman or a Hispanic woman? How does that work?
Well, most of the time, they're just looking for a successful dating life. So they want their options open. A lot of guys actually struggle with not having women interested in them to begin with. So once I set them up with, a good online profile or, anything like that, they get a decent amount of options, and then they basically just go after who they're attracted to. And to be honest, there's not that many, for example, like my Black clients, there's not many. The Black clients who prefer Black women, they notice that when they're dating online, there's not that many Black women to choose from. So they naturally just happen to start messaging women who are of other races. And then they start meeting up on dates and everything like that. And that's usually how it goes.
Interesting that you say there aren't many Black women to choose from when women outrank men significantly. So the question then becomes, are they just women that they aren't interested in that are unavailable, that they are interested in that are unavailable? Byron, jump into this conversation. The majority of married Black men are still married to Black women, regardless of the data that Cynthia G has. Doesn't that mean Black men still prefer Black women?
Well, you have your Black men who are in fraternities, who are at Black churches, and the predominance of influence is to make sure that they are marrying people of the same race, or Black women. Now, if your Black men are outside, and just to keep a note on that, that means it's perpetuated throughout that community. So that means whoever that child marries is we're pretty much pushed to also date and marry a Black woman. Now, outside of the culture, or a Black man who may be more around other nationalities, so white people, Asian people, etc., they have less influence or less push to marry someone of the same race. And I think that's why we still see high numbers, because there are still so many Black men and Black women in Black churches being put together, and same thing in Black organizations such as fraternities and sororities. So I think that's why the numbers are still extremely high. To the point that was made earlier, the truth is that a lot of people do just want to have healthy relationships. And the opportunity to date outside the race is now there, which means I have more chances to find love that is healthy, that makes me happy, and that makes me feel whole. So if that means going outside of my race, then that is okay. For some people, they are stuck in because of the parental influence or their community influence. But for others, they feel free. And that is why we still see such a high number, yet it's still trending up on interracial marriages.
Nina, it seems as if Black women are a little less likely to dive into a different dating pool when it comes to ethnicities. But it seems like Black men, according to what Byron said, are, if they can't find nothing in the black pool, they will jump over to the next color, the next frame, if you will. Do you find that so while dating?
I mean, we all get frustrated while dating. So, I mean, I can see that it coming from probably a point of frustration with probably the type of women that you may encounter. So a change is what you probably would look for. So I definitely can see why it could be a possibility. I mean, I've thought about it myself. Not that I don't love my Black men, but just for a change or a difference, or see how it is. I mean, I don't think nothing's wrong with it. It's what makes you happy.
Yeah. Cynthia G, I know you were trying to chime in there. Go ahead.
Yes. So first of all, I want to say this. We're ignoring data here, and I understand why. I make the disclaimer about why.
Yeah, we need this data. Okay.
No, we need to ignore.
No, I want to finish, because I want to emphasize why Black men are ignoring the data, because the data does not fit what they are saying. They're saying they're crossing the pond because they want happiness. The data says you're not getting happiness. The data says your relationships, when you go outside your race, have the highest failure rate among anybody. So you're not finding happiness, first of all. Secondly, I want to respond to Byron. When you say that interracial relationships is increasing, that's true. It's increasing because Black men are making it increase. And what's decreasing is the Black marriage rate. First of all, already a very small amount of Black people get married. So of that small amount, yes, of the 26% of Black men who get married, yes, the majority of them are marrying Black women, but that's a tiny percentage of the population, especially given part of that population is them marrying white as well. So no, Black men do not have this dedication to Black women. They've always viewed white womanhood as better inherently than Black womanhood. And this is what all the data sources are pointing to. And that's why they're ignoring them.
I don't quite believe that Speedy is ignoring the data because of the data itself. I think Speedy's ignoring the data because he is not the data.
I am not the data. It's just like
that's why he totally point of view, though. But that's what they do. They'll talk from an individual perspective by the means of gaslighting. I want to talk about the overall picture, not your personal relationship, because we can't confirm that you're happy in your relationship. We can't confirm it. We would have to go by your words. But the data is saying that you're not happy. And
but if we're gonna say that Speedy, that we can't confirm whether Speedy is happy or not, then how can we confirm that the people who reported on the data that they're happy or not if it's non-confirmable?
Ding.
Thank you.
Now, please say this.
I mean, well, you can say that, but the data is what it is. And an example of that is Kanye.
Well, hold that thought. I want Speedy to get a chance to respond.
You know what's so weird? If I sat here and said, women, this, that, and the other, I'm not a woman. I can never say that statement. For somebody else to go, Black men are this and the other, and you not a Black man. Why not just ask this? You have three Black men in this room. Why not just say, hey, Speedy, why did you marry a white woman? I would say I didn't look at her as white. I looked at her as the person that I wanted to be with. And she just so happened
she was white though,
white.
Speedy.
But I'm saying she just so happened to be white. That's the person I decided to settle down. I had options. I had about 6 options, and they were all of different backgrounds, and that's the one I chose. Now you're gonna say, "Oh, I'm not happy, and I just don't want to tell you," or the data shows. The data, come on, man. Just talk to somebody.
You
How
don't
about talk
date
to
data.
people around
Okay,
you?
you don't
We don't
date
date data.
Disregarding
Yeah.
so are we disregarding all
If
data?
that's the, okay, if that's the point, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna do this
Disregarding
point.
all the data because
Okay.
you say your experience is true, and
Okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Well, we
Can I
know
say
that
this?
data can.
Can I say this?
Go
Hold
ahead.
on.
Hold that
I
thought, Cynthia. Go ahead, Speedy.
I have 8 kids, 4 sons, 4 daughters. I
Get
might
it.
as well say the data says that one of my sons are going to go to jail. None of my kids have been to jail, but the data says at least one
Right.
black man out of 5 has gone to jail. None of my kids have gone to jail.
Yes.
Not at all. So do I believe the data or do you believe me?
Well, we got to give it time, Speedy.
Hilarious.
Because that's a silly argument. That is a very silly argument. That's a silly argument to say that because one of your sons hasn't been incarcerated yet, that somehow you can then believe mass incarceration. It's foolish.
The point that he's making is that
Right.
data is dependent on individual experience, and
Exactly.
so no matter how much data you have out there, one's personal experience is always going to usurp or override that data. Now you can live by data and say, well, I guess I have to do it because that's what the data said, or you can live and your experiences may say
Contradict
the data.
Right.
But the reason you're saying that is because the data contradicts what you're saying. If the data was in favor of what you were, well, look, if the data was in favor of what you were saying, I highly doubt you would be saying disregard the data. You would likely be using it to support your point.
Now,
But the data doesn't pan out that way.
Are you
And
married to a black man? Are you married to a black man?
what we do know, because
No. Answer the question. Are you married to a
What's the
black
data on that? Is that
So
a yes or
whether-
no?
Are you married to a black man?
married to is
And on
irrelevant.
that note, we'll take a quick break. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack on Foxsoul, and the business of being black today is black men. Do they set higher standards when dating black women versus others? Now, Speedy suggests in the last segment that there are 3 black men on this panel. Why not just ask them why they date who they date? So, KT, why do you date who you date, and do you date white women?
Well, a lot of my experience dating just came from demographics. I think demographic is like huge. Like, for example, I went to school, started going to school, like got out of the inner city, started going to college, started going to the gym, started doing
KT,
a
this
lot of
sounding very much like I date why I've been dating white women all my life.
Okay, you know,
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, very much like when I came out my mama's stomach, I was like, find me a white woman.
not really. It was
You about to
more
make
like,
Cynthia smile. You about to make Cynthia smile right here.
Go
Well,
ahead,
no,
KT. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. Go ahead, KT.
yeah. So a lot of my experience with the women I've dated just came because not because of standards, but just I was demographically more around them, like more. You know, when it came to like pursuing different things, like the venues I was going to, the college I was at was like very like majority other races.
So
like,
what college did you graduate? What college did you attend?
I went to RIT. It's like a engineering tech school in
Okay.
upstate New York.
In New York. Okay.
So,
And so your dating pool has been majority black or white women?
white. Yeah, majority. I would say 90, 95%. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, you make a valid point. Based on how you're raised, where you're raised, your, where you're going, who you're hanging out with because of the college that you attend, or because of the church that you attend, or even because of the neighborhood that you attend. I tend to find that rich, women find rich white men where rich white men are, or where, women find athletes where athletes are. So they make sure that they circle those spaces where those people are. And so perhaps that has something to do with why a man would choose, a black man would choose a white woman. Byron, what about you?
I have to agree. For me, it is definitely because of environment. When I was living in Pittsburgh, I was around, it was very minimal on the Black women and Black men. When I was living in Philly, it was heavy on the Black people. When I lived in Charlotte, it was in between. And living in Atlanta, we all over the place. So it definitely makes it easier to date within your race when your race is more prevalent where you live, or at the places that you go to, or the people that you normally hang around. So for me, it's been a little bit all over the place because of the environment. And I think that's true for everyone. Yes, you can search in another city, another state, but if you're living like in Atlanta, we're here, but right outside of Atlanta, if you live right outside, even 30, 40 minutes, the numbers of us go down drastically.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on environment heavily when you're talking about the data.
Tammi,
somebody
didn't answer my question, Tammi. Somebody didn't answer my question. The young lady didn't answer my question.
And I know he's referring to me, and I'm not going to answer your question.
Why not? Why not?
I'm going to tell you because I'm not here to discuss my personal life. That's why.
Wait a minute. We're discussing our personal life.
Because you brought it into the situation. You brought your personal life here. You told us who you were married to and the race of the woman that you are married to. I did not offer that information, so I'm not going to talk about it. But let
me do this. Can I say this one thing?
Sure, go ahead.
If a Black man is married to a Black woman and it shows that he could not be happy as well, then the person you married to could not be happy with you.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
You said the
data. No, I said the data shows that Black men are not experiencing happiness when they go outside their race. Now, if I would have said it about Black women, I would have said the opposite, because the data actually says Black women have healthier, happier, longer lasting relationships when they go outside their race. I'm saying Black men are not. And the example I was going to give you as you're sitting here talking about your relationship and progression was this Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kanye West initially came out talking about how pure Kim Kardashian was, how she was the best woman on earth, how happy he was with her. This was his dream girl, only to then turn around and talk about living with her was like living with the prison warden. So at the end of the day, your relationship is still progressing. We can't confirm or deny anything. So I don't even know why you brought your personal relationship in the discussion, except that you're triggered because the information.
Oh, I'm not triggered.
Now, when it goes to the standards, I want to say something about the standards, because the standard of white women that Black men pick have also been documented several times. And I'm looking at an article right now that literally notes that Black men were dating quote unquote second tier white women. And this was in the early 1900s by New York Times when they were discussing Frederick Douglass being with Helen Pitts. I actually would like to quote it for you so that you will know how long you've actually been, Black men have been tied to not having standards. And I think they're trying to deflect to get away from the aspect of the standards. We're talking about these standards that Black men have. And as I'm looking at this, it says we are opposed to colored men marrying second rate white women, yet we do not see anything in the above threat to deter them from doing so if they wish. So there's nowhere in history where Black men have been documented to having any standards when it comes to non-Black women, except for their proximity to whiteness. And that's why if you look throughout history, Black men have actively been fighting for it.
So Nina, I want to get you in here real quick. What has been your experience when dating Black men? Do you find that they put expectations on you?
I don't. Actually, I think it's probably the same expectations with any female. They just want you not to be, I guess, really aggressive. And I think sometimes they label Black women as a little aggressive, and maybe that's the reason why they probably choose the other. But I mean, that's so prehistoric, because now with everybody being mixed race mostly around here now, I mean, you have other ethnic backgrounds and races that are snappy, aggressive. I mean, there's a lot of different characteristics. It really doesn't matter. To me, you can Google all the data that you want, but it's based on your experience. So I mean,
I want to stay with you here, Nina, because I want to talk about Black women versus white women aesthetically. Features that have usually been attributed to Black women are full lips, curvy bodies, and those features are now more attainable to every woman through surgery. And we've often, for decades, if not centuries, have talked about how white women want fuller lips like us, how white women want curvier bodies like us, and how white women want to be tanned and be even darker like us. Kim Kardashian, Cynthia G brought up, is a perfect example of that. She's oftentimes been criticized of code switching in a whole different way, I guess. She's oftentimes been tapped on doing that, on perpetrating her blackness, her black fishing, if you will. Do you believe that Black men like white women in their own natural beauty, or do they like white women who have the beauty of Black women?
That's good. I'm glad you asked me that, only because I also work for an international company. So we have different backgrounds. And so I'm in IT as well. So because it's primarily men, I've actually had a discussion with several men, several backgrounds and stuff, and they've been married too, white, Black, it doesn't matter. They actually state they don't have like this type of stigma or this standard for someone to look a particular way. It's us as women that actually look at it the most on looks and things like that. It really has nothing to do with that. It's us. As women, we look at other women, non-Black or Black, and we look at what they have and want it or dream of it or figure out ways to get it. And it makes us envious and have these type of thoughts that we have now about these different standards between the two. And really, there is none. You just should worry about yourself.
She said you just should worry about yourself. Well, I want to ask the fellows on the panel about the physical attributes of Black women versus white women and what makes them more or less attractive when we return on the business of being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack. We coming right back because it's getting hot up in here. Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. Before the break, we talked about the differences physically between Black women and white women. Features that have usually been attributed to Black women, like full lips and curvy bodies, are now more attainable to every woman through surgery. And more women are beginning to get thicker lips and curvier bodies. And of course, that everlasting tan where you love to just kind of, add that melanin into your skin a little bit. Speedy, when you dated Black women, did you find them more or less attractive than white women? Was there a certain type of attraction?
No, I love women in general, period. Didn't matter what I like big girls more than anything. So I was more attracted to women of the plus size. And that's been how it is my whole life. Also, too, I have Black daughters. And I don't teach them, or they're not learning from me, oh, you shouldn't like being Black and you should date anybody you want to date. I let them be who they are. But they are Black women, strong Black women. I have I have 2 college graduates that are Black women who graduated from college. And they don't look at me or the person I married. I told them this is just the person I like. I didn't marry her because I didn't want to be with a Black woman. This is the person I happen to like and wanted to be with for the rest of my life. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't read that to anyone. If I saw a sister with a white guy, I don't look at her and go, oh, that's messed up. She ain't married no Black brother. I say, well, that must be the person she chose. And she's happy with it. I'm happy with it. Period.
KT, you've talked about how your proximity to white women has contributed to you dating white women, but I want to ask you about the physicality of white women versus Black women. Are you even attracted to Black women?
Rarely attracted to Black women. In some cases I am, but it's rare. Like you mentioned, body types and everything like that. I look for, just a beautiful woman, and I rarely see it, in Black women.
You don't see beauty in Black women?
Rarely.
Because he sees beauty in white.
Cynthia about that.
Well, listen,
Go ahead, Cynthia.
Whenever you attach beauty or certain things only to a certain race of people, that just means that that's the race that you want to validate that by. What he's saying is basically what I said. Black men look at white womanhood as inherently better than black womanhood.
But I didn't say that.
No.
Right.
He
Right,
said
but
that.
I-
I need you to understand.
And I wasn't responding to you. I was responding to KT.
Yeah,
It
but that's
goes.
what
But then you said all men. So you got to be careful
Yes.
what you do.
Well, I think we established at the beginning that all men does not mean all means some.
They don't say it. They don't.
Go ahead, Cynthia.
No one said all. I said black men, and that's because the topic is about black men who interracially date. I'm not going to put the who interracially date disclaimer there just because you need me to. We all have the understanding we're talking about black men. And basically what KT is telling me is that as a black man, even though we know that black women outnumber black men by about 2 million, so not only do you have 1 for 1, but you also have a pool of 2 million more. He's basically saying none of them are beautiful. That means you see beauty only in whiteness. If you're telling me that there's no black woman that you're attracted to, none of them possess the qualities that white women are possessing, that's telling me they don't possess whiteness. And that's typically what it is. Are we going to act like when we talk about black men on this panel, are we going to act like black men are not already very aggressively vocal about what they like in white women? And I'm not hearing them talk about her characteristics as a woman. I'm hearing them talk about her whiteness, her blonde hair, her blue eyes.
I never said that. Nobody on this panel ever said
Please
that.
don't cut me off.
Nobody said that.
I didn't cut you off when you were talking. I really
not one.
Go ahead.
But black men advertise that they like whiteness. They're advertising that they want biracial children. This is something that black women give proximity to whiteness. It's chasing whiteness. Black men have always viewed access to white women as freedom, liberation, and revolution. And when you think that strongly about something, when you spend nearly your existence in this country fighting for that, the only thing standards are going to do is limit your access. So there's no way black men are going to have standards for white women because they think they're better than them. So it's a privilege to have one. It just is what it is.
What if you just said some black men? What if I would be cool if you said some black men? I'm
not gonna say some black men.
Speedy, I think it's a little redundant to do that. I mean, I think we're all smart enough on the panel to suggest for her to suggest that she's obviously not speaking about every black man in the history of the world.
But Tammi,
she's speaking about the black men that we're referencing, which are black men who date white women, and obviously only some of them.
But why not just say, I'm not saying that the panel's not smart. Someone watching the show hears us say all black men, and they don't separate that. They roll with all black men. Why not just say the young man on the panel, that's what he thinks. The 2 other guys don't think that way, which that's how it is in life. Yeah, 1 or 2 people might feel that way, but you can't say broad stroke, all black men.
I understand. I totally understand that. But if we do that, the show we wouldn't finish the show because we just have to assume she's not painting all black men with a broad
I don't assume it.
Because Cynthia G herself is very different from most black women. So I kind of think that she is definitely aware of what you're saying in that sense, and following the data that she has, which suggests a certain percentage and not all as well. But Byron, let's get into it in terms of the beauty of black women. Do you see it?
Oh, absolutely. Let me say this. When the lights go off and hands start being applied, I don't care what color you are. Look, what I feel is what I feel. Okay. And so I think this idea of beauty is something that, especially in American culture, we have so idolized. There are so many parts to the black woman that are naturally so obviously so attractive that other cultures are wanting to mimic and duplicate it. So we have to acknowledge that black women have something that must be beautiful, because clearly, the whole beauty industry is now leaning towards blackness as opposed to what other cultures naturally carry.
You could say
So
that's blackness, though,
personally,
right?
yes, I do. And I think based on my clients, I'm gonna tell you, I have a wide range of clients of all from all of the spectrum. And when they talk, the last thing they talk about is race to me. That's the last thing they talk about. And really, it's not even beauty. It is more about how they feel with somebody on a date. I can imagine based on Kate, kind of already talked to him, he would want a woman who's a little less, you know, I can imagine a black woman probably scare him a little bit because black
I don't know if I should be laughing at that. I don't know if I should be laughing at that.
I'm not.
Yes, you did.
He would be a little more intimidated. Speedy looked like he can handle all of it, right? And that's just what it is. I just feel like people want to feel comfortable however they are, whatever their upbringing, and we attract normally more of what we feel is going to fit us best, and that looks very different depending on who comes to us.
And Tammi, can I say this one thing? I love black women. I have black daughters, and I tell them they're beautiful all the time because black women are beautiful. Let's move on. Go ahead, Tammi.
So Byron, why do you think it is that a lot of these black men who date interracial feel as though whiteness is what's going to provide them with everything that's going to make them happy? Because I want to say again, are we ignoring the fact that black men loudly and aggressively on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, anywhere that's public, and talk about not the character of white women? I guess if you consider, okay, they think she's had the better attitude, she's more submissive. We know that that's not the case, whatever.
No,
because
not at
these
all.
white women are saying they're not submissive to black men. They're saying they're not going to be submissive to them. Why do you think it is that black men are attaching this happiness to white women?
It's a good point she makes. Why is it that when we talk about white women and why we date them, why you date them, why do we talk about their beauty as opposed to their characteristics?
I think, honestly, I don't think that's all the way true. Honestly, I think when we talk about white women specifically, that we're talking about, honestly, the relationship. Every interracial person I've seen together, or a couple I've seen together, has talked about how they feel in a relationship and less about how they look.
Welcome back to Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack. I'm Tammi Mack, and the business of being black today is, do black men place higher standards on black women when they are dating black women? Nina, do you think the only reason some black women say black men don't favor them is because they've had a bad experience with black men?
Absolutely. It's like scorn or bitterness or something. Yeah. I mean, because they're speaking from experience.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, how could they give that, how could they even think like that unless they were hurt?
Yeah. Cynthia, what do you mean by black men see themselves in white women?
Well, first, there was an article literally written where a black man said, if you invert a black man, you get a white woman. And so it's literally titled, maybe black men protect white women because we see ourselves in them. And, in addition to this article where it's literally running down the way that black men perceive white women in tandem to themselves, there was also, a statement from a book on interracial dating, I think it's called The Interracial Con Game, that had a quote about how black men are actually trying to obtain essentially parity with white men by way of white women. I think the last part of the quote goes, by being loved by the white woman, I am the white man. And so this is why I'm saying, I get what these men on here are saying. However, if you actually study it over time, since black men have been able to have access to white women, the results of that and the studies of that, it's simply just not, it doesn't confirm anything that these men are saying up here.
So I do want to ask this to you fellas on the panel, Speedy and KT especially. Speedy, do you believe, because there is this perception from the black community that when a black man dates a white woman, that you've been lifted to a higher being. You've been lifted into another level and stratosphere. Does that exist?
No such thing. Could it exist for somebody else? Maybe for that person. majority guys I know, no, we don't. I don't sit here and go, oh, because I'm dating a white woman or I married a white woman, that now people are going to look at me different, or I'm going to get a different gig, or I'm going to get this part in a movie because they know I married someone that looks like them. No, that's not how it works. Just
so there is no I'm married to a white woman privilege.
No, not one. No such thing. When I married a sister. No such thing.
Y'all don't even get preference when it comes to being seated at Nobu.
No, I don't. I do not. And I wasn't looking. I wasn't getting with her for that reason.
So when the new head coach of UNC came out and said that he's proud of his white wife, that wasn't an allegation. Was that
again? I'm sorry, we didn't hear you.
When the new head coach of UNC came out and said that he's proud to have a white wife, was that not an indication of him saying basically that he's on a higher level because he has a white wife?
No, that's
no.
That's a assumption.
No. So when Quincy Jones came out and Sandra Jones and Nick Cannon and Mano, the rapper Mano, talking about how access to white women was freedom, liberation, and revolution, that's not indicating at all that those aren't statements that show that black believe.
KT's trying to chime in. Byron, I'm going to come to you. I want to let KT chime in here. He wanted to speak to it. KT, does it put you on a whole nother level? Does it give you access that you wouldn't have with a black woman by your side?
Not me. I don't feel like it makes a difference to me personally, but definitely to some guys, it's the reality of it. It definitely gives them a feel of a status boost in society.
Byron?
Dating women.
Absolutely. I think there are some who look at it that way, just like if they got a Mercedes or a BMW and they used to drive Hondas, right?
Damn, you remind me of my Jeep? Really? Okay.
Really? Yeah. I mean, to some, they think that way. But to other people, honestly, and this is why I say that particular part of Cynthia's argument is a little limiting. As a human, I can love a BMW and love my Honda at the same time. I can have equal appreciation, not thinking that one is better than the other. One just happens to have a different logo on it. I think there's a mentality that says just because other people have ascribed a certain weight or value to something, that I have to also have the same outlook on it. And just because some black men look at white women as more valuable or are elevating them, doesn't mean I have to look at it that way.
Very good.
And a lot of black men think of it the same way, where they don't see white women as something superior. They look at that's just another woman who happens to be someone who I could be interested in. And
I do find it interesting that most of these rappers and athletes are. I do find it interesting that most of these rappers and athletes are choosing lighter skin to white women. I find
Tammy, I think you got to think about access. When I've been in those, because I've worked in entertainment and I've been with a lot of these guys. A lot of the people around them, they go to parties where it's a lot of people. Honestly, these clubs, a lot of the high-end clubs.
Access. I don't know if I've taken offense yet to you calling me a car, comparing women to cars, but I'm gonna let that slide. That's another show. Nina, please tell us about Blink.
Remind me of my okay.
I couldn't hear you. What was that?
Please tell us about Blink X.
Well, that's actually my website that I sell bundles, lashes, bags, things like that for women.
Well, you're doing a wonderful job of, giving us a little sample. I must say, I would buy your bundles and your lashes, sis. Okay. Speedy, tell us about your upcoming shows and how we can catch you.
You could catch me every Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday right here at Rollout Studios. I have a show called Rollout Live with Speedy and Friends. If you go to Speedy Is Funny, you can see everything that's going on in my little life and everything that I'm doing. And I have a gospel movie that I'm about to start going to production for. So it's called When We Pray. So look out for that.
Congratulations on that. Congratulations, Speedy. Byron, what can you tell us about your book, How to Heal a Hoe? And the biggest hoe.
Hello, yes. How to Heal a Hoe is
I guess I won't take offense to you calling me a car, but the hoe part.
Look, everybody should be a hoe, and that is a human open to experiences. Experiences happen all the time, and you should be able to be open to it so you don't get defensive or depressed about it. I'm learning to teach people how to have healthy conversations about sex and sexuality. And I'm doing that because as a former hoe, I know what it means to be a healed hoe now and how much better it is to live that way, sexually free and healthy in my mind. You can find me at Byron Jamal and byronjamal.com on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and a little YouTube. I'm a little funny sometimes on TikTok, so check me out. I'm healing hoes all over the place.
Cynthia G, tell us about the content on your YouTube channel.
So my content actually focuses on the psychological aspects of the relationship dynamic between Black men and Black women. I also, a large part of that is obviously interracial dating and its impact on Black women and why Black women need to stop restricting themselves to Black men who do not have as much loyalty to them and go find the best man. That's what my content is about.
The best man, yes. KT, top level dating. How can we reach out and get us some top level dating? You have to have millions of dollars to be on this site or what?
I have a YouTube. A lot of people can find me on YouTube, and yeah.
So just go to top level dating on
Does that
YouTube?
answer your question? Yeah. YouTube, we're rolling out content on YouTube. We offer a 5-day free email course. It helps guys improve their dating experience online.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you, KT. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Cynthia G. And thank you, Speedy. Hollywood Unlocked is next. That is The Business of Being Black with Tammi Mack on Foxsoul.